tricky when you're trying to establish something new, because look at a company like Uber, they had to bend the rules to be successful.
If you want a 1% life, you have to act like it.
Some people see the thing that they want, and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want.
Rise and shine!
It's Entspresso time!
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I am not a morning person. But when you start your day with a routine that inspires you, like watching one of these videos, it will change your life. So let's start your day off right together. Grab your coffee, know that I believe in you, and get ready for a shot of Entspresso from Jordan Peterson.
I wake up every morning.
Espresso, keep me going.
I wake up every morning.
So, Silicon Valley tends to be liberal. Everyone knows that. And the reason for that is that there's a tremendous number of entrepreneurs there. And entrepreneurs tend to be high in openness and lower in conscientiousness. So they're creative, but they're also willing to break rules, which you kind of have to do often. Hopefully not to a criminal extent, but you have to. It's tricky when you're trying to establish something new, because look at a company like Uber, they had to bend the rules to be successful. And those companies that have rented those scooters out and put them on the streets everywhere, they just kind of went ahead and did it. It's not something an orderly person would do, because they'd ask for permission, whereas the people who started these scooter rental companies just said, well, what'll happen if we put them everywhere? And the answer was, that seemed to work. But, you have to have a rule-breaking proclivity in order to manage that.
If you want a 1% life, you have to act like it. You have to live it. You have to actually go for it, because people say they want the 1% life. You want to be the entrepreneur. You want to be on top of your game. You want to live a life that's different than other people. You don't accept the rules, and you don't want the mindset that most people have, and yet you're living by the rules. If you want to live the 1% life, you have to actually have the courage to not break the rules, but bend them. I look at Toronto Dance Salsa as an example. With COVID, when it happened, we got shut down. For those of you who don't know, I run Toronto Dance Salsa. It's the largest dance school for salsa dancing, maybe in North America, but for certain in Canada. So you're dancing with strangers, and that's not very friendly when you've got a virus getting out there. And so we got shut down pretty quickly. The government shut us down. It's like, hey, COVID, you can't have your dance school open right now, maybe at some point in the future. When things started to open up a little bit, first step was started to run public classes outside. We're in a mall. We've got a 5-figure a month rent that we've got to pay, and we couldn't have our classes indoors. So you know what? Let's do individual classes where you're doing shines, where you're not dancing with somebody, so you can do it socially distanced, and we'll do it outside. And we found a park, and we just started running socially distanced classes outside. Now, this is important, because is that within the rules? I don't know. Do we need a permit to be in that park? Probably. Did we get one? Did we look into it? No. We just did it. And for those of you who are sticklers to the rules, you're going to have a hard time winning as an entrepreneur, because in trying to figure out whether you can or you can't, other people are just doing it and they're winning. Now again, I'm not talking about breaking the rules. I'm not talking about go rob a store because Evan said I to go live the 1% life. Right? You do a risk assessment. What's the most likely scenario? If we're teaching outdoor classes, what's the most likely scenario? Most likely scenario is nothing, right? Most likely scenario is they're not going to do anything. If somebody from the government or the police or whatever did find us doing the public classes, what would happen? Probably they say either nothing, or they say, you can't do this, you can't be here. Especially considering what's happening, right? Like having a little bit of compassion for what is going on in our business, to say, hey, we've got a dance business, we're paying 5 figures a month in rent, we're struggling, we're just trying to keep our business afloat. If somebody from the police came, they're gonna say, either keep doing it, or they're gonna say you have to leave. What's the worst case scenario? The worst case is you get some kind of fine. Because you didn't get the permit and you're there, you get some kind of fine, right? That's the worst case scenario. It's not like you're gonna get thrown in jail. It's not like they're gonna take you to court, right? The worst case scenario is not that bad. So the worst case scenario of breaking the rule is not that bad, where the most likely scenario is nothing. The most likely scenario is nothing happens and you just keep doing your thing. Why does that matter? Because you have to weigh, in looking at the rules and looking at what you're gonna be bending and not breaking, you have to weigh the risk assessment, which is where most people really, really struggle. You've been living under the rules for so long that you just take it for granted and you have to do those things. And breaking a rule or bending a rule is so counterintuitive and so against your nature that you never do it. But the risk is actually very low compared to the upside. And that's what you have to do. So while so many people might have had the same idea and they're thinking, okay, how do I get permission to do this? Who do I have to call inside the government? How much is it to get a license to do it? I have to go explain what I need to do. I have to find someone who I can even get on the phone because the offices are closed because they were shut down as well. In that process of thinking about it, of planning it, of strategizing it, months and months and months and months go by. Meanwhile, nothing has happened. And the difference is we've gone out and done it because the risk is so low, right? Again, I'm not saying go out and break every single rule. I'm not telling Alex, who helps me run the company, to go and steal from people or rob a store or do something, that's really against the law and breaking a lot of rules, right? But it's having that willingness to bend it a little bit, to stop asking for permission for every little thing, because it's slowing down your progress and slowing down your growth. This is why so many entrepreneurs who are lawyers and accountants actually struggle. So many lawyers and accountants really, really, really struggle. Not all of them, but a lot of them struggle to be entrepreneurs because they know all the laws and they know all the rules. And because you know every law and every rule, you don't do anything until you have everything perfectly lined up. And if you wait until you have everything perfectly lined up, you've lost. You've lost, you're not gonna win. Richard Branson had a great line saying that when he's working on some deal, when he's gonna buy a company or create a new business or invest in something, he never brings the accountants in until he's already decided. He'll decide, he'll have the entrepreneur hat on, and then he brings in the accountants to figure out how to make it happen. What's the next step in the process? But he's already decided. Because it's always different, it's always unique, it's always outside the box. And if you wanna think outside the box, you have to live outside the box. You can't be confined by the box if you wanna live the 1% life. And you want it, but it's the fear to go off and do it. It's the same thing with people who are making videos. And like, well, what camera should I buy? And what gear should I buy? And what should my topic be? And how do I make a video? And how do I upload it? Meanwhile, I just uploaded videos. You're stuck in over-preparing, over-planning, over-strategizing, overthinking, convincing yourself that all this stuff actually matters when it doesn't. The only thing that matters is momentum. And I'm not trying to harp on accountants or lawyers or any profession. It's a mindset. If you want to live outside the box, if you want to live the 1% life, you have to be willing to actually live it. It's not easy. It doesn't mean you disrespect authority, and it doesn't mean that, if somebody comes up and tells you can't do it, that then you rage on them or spit on them or do something super disrespectful. It just means that you're not waiting for permission for everything. And you're not over planning, over strategizing, over preparing. I get it. I naturally think to over prepare because I don't want to disappoint people. The thought of disappointing somebody destroys me. But because I lost a $40 million deal when I was in my 20s, because I was over preparing, over planning, trying to make it perfect, and I lost a huge deal, I'm a recovering perfectionist. And perfectionism we hold as some positive thing, like, oh, I'm a perfectionist. No, it's actually just fear. Perfectionism means you're just afraid. You're covering up your fear with a logical excuse and a label that we can be proud of, that I'm a perfectionist. You're just afraid. That's not something to be proud of. You're just living in fear. You've got really smart ideas, you've got noble ambitions, you want to serve, you want to help, and you're just afraid. And because that fear exists, it's keeping you small and preventing you from taking the action that you need to take. So you have to be willing to bend the rules. You have to be willing to ask yourself, is my intention good? Do I want to serve? Do I want to help? And is this harming somebody? And if you are willing to bend the rules, if you are willing to live in the intention of positivity that you're trying to help, and in the process, 3, you're not hurting anybody, you're not causing somebody else harm for you to get gain, then use that as your courage to go and take the action you need to take. Because otherwise, while you're sitting, planning, strategizing, thinking, over-preparing, your dream is dying. And you're gonna look back on your life and say, I wish I did it when I had the shot, I had the chance, and I was just too afraid to do it. Don't let that be you. Take the action, make yourself proud, and start bending a few rules. Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you watch a video and you just get inspired, the statistics say you have a 35% chance of actually following through. But when you get motivated through a video and then you actually create a plan of action, you have a over 90% chance of following through. From 35% to 90% plus, because you created a plan of action, and when you commit to somebody else, commit publicly to say, I'm going to do this, it jumps to the mid-90s. That's what I want for you, because Believe Nation, we take action, we follow through. We don't just get motivated, we actually do something about it so we can make the positive shift in the world that you wanna make. And so, question of the day, I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? Let me know, put it down in the comments below so I can celebrate with you too. Also, if you want to have more self-belief and self-confidence, check out my 254 series, where every day for the next 254 days, I will send you an unlisted video to your inbox to help you shift your confidence forward. The science says it can take up to 254 days of consecutive action to change a habit. You want to change a negative habit, you want to build that new belief, it takes up to 254 days. So for free, for the next 254 days, I will send you an unlisted video to be with you every step of the way to shift that habit forward. To get in for free, check out the link in the description below.
If you're going to speak effectively, you have to know way more than you're talking about. First of all, you have to treat yourself like you matter. Because if you don't, then you don't take care of yourself and you become vengeful. Oh no, you're okay. You should feel good about yourself. Like, you're fine the way you are. It's like you think, well, that's a calming message for people.
Let me tell you a story. So a friend of mine and I, we went for a run in Central Park. The Roadrunners organization, on the weekends, they host races. And it's very common at the end of the race, they'll have a sponsor who will give away something, apples or bagels or something. And on this particular day, when we got to the end of the run, there were some free bagels. And they had picnic tables set up, and on one side was a group of volunteers. On the table were boxes of bagels, and on the other side was a long line of runners waiting to get their free bagel. So I said to my friend, let's get a bagel. And he looked at me and said, the line's too long. And I said, free bagel. And he said, I don't want to wait in line. And I was like, free bagel. And he says, nah, it's too long. And that's when I realized that there's two ways to see the world. Some people see the thing that they want, and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want. I could only see the bagels. He could only see the line. And so I walked up to the line. I leaned in between two people, put my hand in the box, and pulled out two bagels. And no one got mad at me, because the rule is you can go after whatever you want. You just cannot deny anyone else to go after whatever they want. Now, I had to sacrifice choice. I didn't get to choose which bagel I got. I got whatever I pulled out, but I didn't have to wait in line. So the point is you don't have to wait in line. You don't have to do it the way everybody else has done it. You can do it your way. You can break the rules. You just can't get in the way of somebody else getting what they want. That's rule number one.
If you want another amazing Jordan Peterson video, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
If you don't have a goal, you suffer, and then you get cruel and bitter and resentful, and then you start to actively try to make the world a worse place.
Trying new stuff can be painful, can be comfort zone breaking. It should be. It's new, it's variety, it's different.